Big G here, aka Genius. As you guys know, I'm currently ill, so my content's been slacking recently, but hopefully that's alright. I'm trying to stick to one upload a day, so it is what it is. But I can't promise you that I'm live streaming every day, doing these contact races now, so you can join in that and whatnot. So this was taken from one of the races from the live stream. I thought this was a pretty cool race to show you guys, I suppose. Wow, voice crack. Yeah. So anyway, this is a bit, I think a seven lap race, 1.62 miles, whatnot. Awful start there. Thought I can cut the curb, but obviously when that lamppost broke, the initial stand or the foundation of the lamppost was sticking out, so I sort of clipped it, and wow, there's Fast and Furious shit right there. So yeah, I wanted to show you from this point of view as to what you can do to recover in this situation, especially in a contact environment where you got some crazy ass drunk driver in a Turismo that struggles to go over curbs, who will keep clipping the curbs and obviously then rebound onto you. I don't know what this guy was doing, but certainly taking the piss and delaying my time to overtake other drivers. Now, if you're in this situation, it doesn't mean the race is over. Obviously, contact racing will only work if you have a numerous amount of laps. You can't just do contact racing with 2-3 laps and get it over with, because that won't work. People in the front of the starting grid will always win. And so this awful start, I was pissed off, so I would just floor every corner, and with that logic it won't work, because obviously you saw me understeer, just clip the tree. So that just made it worse for myself. I always say this in my live streams to a lot of people that tend to get into a lot of collisions. I would say easier if you're throttled, if you're next to someone, easier if you're throttled. People's logic is just to floor it the entire time, and that's it. We now change the rules slightly. It's sort of a 10-second roll up start, and as soon as its timer hits 10 seconds in the bottom right corner, that's when you can floor it. But that doesn't mean literally floor it. That means you get 10 seconds to think about where you are and sort of get your area sorted out, and then sort of think about how you're going to approach your corner, and that's it. A lot of people have the logic of just nose diving into the apex of the corner and completely disregard other people's positioning near the inside line, and that's when collisions tend to occur. People need to sort of follow the lines. If you're on sort of the wide, if you're really, really wide when you're turning into a corner and you see other cars in the inside of you, you need to stick to that wide line for the entire time at the beginning of the race, because the whole point is logic applies. I keep saying this. If you get into collision, obviously the gap between you and the guy at the front is going to increase. Whereas if you take it slow, the gap's still going to be there, but not as big as if you were to get into a collision. That's what I always say time and time again. So always keep your finger on the brakes, man, in contact racing. You got to keep your fingers on the brakes. You got to avoid collisions like that. You got to really pay attention to the situation, react to it. A lot of people always ask me, well, I could not react to that that way. A lot of people ask me, why not play Forza or GT6? Brothers, I came from playing a lot of Gran Turismo back in the day to games like this, just simply because realistic racing games for me, I find it completely boring, as it's all adapting to real time, and that I kind of fall asleep on those kind of games. I played a lot of endurance races, but the thing is, games like this, GTA 5, it's got a perfect balance of fast pace and game mechanics, which actually allow us to control the car at the same time. People do say it's simple, but there's a level of simplicity which you can always maximize, and that is something you can do in GTA 5. And there's a certain level of skill gap that's involved, especially after 1.14 traction changes, which you have to sort of focus on your car and actually control it, and to push yourself as well, which that there is a reason for lap times, which so determine that as to who's actually pushing himself and doing it consistently compared to someone that's taking it slow, keeping their composure as well. So basically in this situation, this race, but before I move on, I want to say I love GTA 5 racing, and if that's something you guys don't like, then don't watch it. Don't tell me to go and play Forza or GT6, because I won't. As I said, the reasons why. This game requires reactions, and it does consist of fierce, aggressive racing, which I love. Because you can't predict anything in these contact races. Anything can happen, man. Little curb, your car hits it, it will respond differently every single time. In any of these corners you go after, every single lap, your car responds differently. And that's what I love about this game. Think about Forza and GT6, right? It's the same tracks, right? Think about GTA 5. Obviously, you create different tracks, so you go adapt to these tracks. But at the same time, you got the same tracks, and the roads are sort of flat out. So you sort of predict as to what will happen every single lap. That's why you can get consistent laps on these games and realistic, real sim games, right? But whereas GTA 5 is different, everything responds differently every single time, and that's where skill is involved. And in my opinion, that is exactly what makes the difference of the skill gap required in this game, as to how much you can push yourself and how much you can control the car every single time around these laps. You see, one thing is that I managed to take second position after all that awful start, and because 7 laps to 1.62 miles is it's around, you know, suppose 1 minute 10 second lap time for each of these laps. So like I said, contact racing, you have to have a numerous amount of laps depending on the length of each lap. So the guy at the front, right, when I actually took second position initially, had a 15 second advantage, 15 second, and he obviously started at the start of the start grid, and that meant obviously there was a lot of collision going on the back. A lot of people obviously weren't taking it smooth. This is, as I said time and time again, the gap was created due to the fact that everyone else was getting into collisions. Now, if everyone stuck to the pack, this wouldn't have happened. There will be about 10 cars right now with me here, along with the guy at the front. So that's the thing that people don't understand. People always complain that, oh, just because the person at the front of the grid, you know, starts at the front, he's going to always win the race. That people complain, that's because people get into collisions. But if you avoid collisions at the start of the race and actually stick to the pack and take it slow and calm with patience, and not actually go in for the nosedive of overtaking, because, you know, as I say time and time again, if you have the logic of getting into first position on the first corner, it won't work. You will always fail. You can't have that logic in these racing environments, man. You remember, you got to take into account the amount of freaking laps you have available, and actually taking into consideration that the first lap is always going to be void. Obviously, I have the mindset of hot lapping, but that helps me do well with contact racing, because this was the only way I can keep up to the guy in the front 15 seconds ahead, is to have the mindset of hot lapping, is to consistently push myself around every single one of these corners and improve my corners every single lap. If one corner is not right, I'll make sure I do it right next lap and go with the flow. One thing you notice is a significant difference between my lap times and other people's lap times. That's because in my mind, if I have a lot of space around me, I'm going to push. I'm going to keep pushing. Regardless if I'm at the front place or if I'm at the back and I've got cars ahead of me, I'll keep making sure I switch on and off contact and hot lapping with non-contact. Where if you are a hot lapper in non-contact racing, you will do well in contact racing. Put it this way, right? If you're strictly just doing contact racing, then you wouldn't really know your limitations, because as always, you're applying defensive routes if you're at the front. And whereas if you do hot lap, you're always showing aggression. So if you're at the front of the race in a contact race, pretty much no one else will be able to catch up to you, whoever that doesn't hot lap. So that's why I always say time and time again, hot lapping will improve your racing and your attacking skills to show your pace, and raw pace is pretty much what you need in GTA 5 to win races. But to keep that going consistently with every single lap is what makes the difference. So that's the thing. I will always defend by attacking. That's my mindset. Defending is always by attacking for me. Some people just use their brakes all the time around every corner. Fair enough. You can do that as well. But defending and attack, when you attack and defend at the same time, obviously you're putting yourself at risk. And quite often there's a high chance of you making mistakes, rather just strictly just going for the defensive route. But anyway, as you can see there, I was at the front. There was no need for me to push it, but that's me and that's what I love doing. But at the same time, it wouldn't have made a difference, because I had such a significant gap between me and the second position because of me just consistently attacking, which meant I was defending. So I didn't have any sort of problems whatsoever. So there you guys have it. It was a pretty awesome race. You can recover in situations, but I would personally advise you guys to just hot lap, improve your lap times on any of these tracks that you have. This, and not even just tracks, free roam and push every corner with fully customized vehicles, and you can do well. You can do well with any cars as long as you understand lines and understand the car itself. So there you guys have it. There's a 1 minute 9 second lap time there, and it's the difference between my laps and their laps. You can see, I think the lowest, second quickest was 1 minute 11 seconds. That's 2 seconds behind every lap. So remember, I was consistently pulling off these lap times every single lap. Slowest I think it was 1 minute 10. So gotta take these lap times into consideration to actually do well and actually push yourself, even the contact races, man. So keep your pace up, because pace is important to attack, and then defensive strives also come in attacking as well, which is what I do. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys slap the like button if you guys did, and check out my stream to race with me. I'll see you guys soon. Check it. Sign out. Good night. Peace. Yeah. Hey guys, here, Gene. What you're gonna be watching today is a 4-track playlist, and basically in this particular playlist, it's gonna be 16 people